All right, a trailer hooked up can only mean one thing, friends. It means we've got more treasure to go get. And we're going to talk about it right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Rusty Oliver Man. And way over there is Buddy the dog, who probably thought that I was going down the driveway with the golf cart and then realized that wasn't the case. But I had to unload this trailer real quick. I had my water tank on. The other day I decided, you know, it was getting to be 90-some degrees every day, and I thought I ought to fill up the water troughs for the cattle. They usually prefer to get their water from the natural springs, and then I've got that tile behind the barn that stays full of water, and they're usually pretty well self-sufficient. But I got to thinking, when it was so hot, it'd be nice to have, you know, multiple choices of water for them. So I went ahead and got some and did that, but had to take it off now so we could use this trailer, because I went to an auction today, and it was basically not, there wasn't much advertised that I was really interested in. But there was one thing that I've been wanting, and I can never seem to get it, and today is no exception. I didn't get it. But a landscape rake. There's a couple times a year when I think a landscape rake would be pretty handy, and I could use it for different things. But I just have a hard time paying tons of money for one when I'm only going to use it a handful of times. So there was one on this, and it looked kind of, you know, growed up in the weeds, and I thought, oh, this will be no problem. And I went there today, and everything was bringing $2–3, you know, no problem. And then we get to this landscape rake, $3.75, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. It was down in the dirt part way. So that X'd that out. And then I thought, well, I won't have to go, you know, get a tractor and trailer now. But then I ended up buying two things that I will, and you'll get to see them. But it is a single axle trailer that's got all kinds of stuff on it. And I mainly bought that because I've got that other pickup bed. When Dad wrecked his pickup this last time, or somebody did, I can put that right on this and have instant trailer. So that's one thing. And then there is a yard roller, and it is super heavy, but I've kind of been looking for one of those too, if I could ever find one cheap. And I think I gave like $5 for it, and it's heavier than the ones you'd buy in the store. So I felt like that was a win. But those two pieces, oh, and one of those triangulated antenna towers. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. I've got one here, but Dad kind of wanted one, so I bought that for him, because, you know, now you can get this with the digital TV. You can get an antenna, and I get like 50 channels now for free. So that's all I need for TV. And then he's kind of on the same boat. Like, there's some shows you can only get on the free TV that don't come in his package unless you pay a bunch. So that's where I am. I see that he's coming right now, but he's going to pull this trailer, and I'm going to pull that trailer with the 550, but I got to get it unloaded. So that's what we're working on right now. Yeah, he's out there. He thought we were ready to leave, but we're not. I just got back and got this one unloaded because I had my water tank on. I need to go get more water later. So
why, you running out of water?
I prefer to give it for the cows.
Oh.
That way they got some easy to get to if it's hot. But yeah, so I got to get the other tractor to do that. I think I did pretty good, even though I didn't get what I wanted.
You bought those chains.
I bought every chain they had, and I didn't give more than $12.50 for one. And some of those are 1/2-inch chain. So I think that was worth the money.
Oh yeah.
At the end, there was nobody there. I mean, there was maybe 25 people, and nobody was bidding. So everything was $2, most of it, except for that one thing I wanted. Then there was a guy who wanted.
Well.
if it's not clear what's happening, I'm gonna go get the 550. We're gonna load it up so that I got something there that can lift and do whatever. And then when we get back, we'll decide, you know, what we want to do. I want to do a, you know, filming what I got so you can see the treasures, you know, friends, the treasures. Now what you're going to want to do is have the bucket full of stuff so that you first got to unload it. However, the nice thing about a loader is it will unload, if you know what I'm talking about. Unloaded. We'll pick that up later. We should. Was this tire low? Let's air that up real quick.
I was not using it. That was not me. I made that last film.
Yeah, I know. That was the one that got it.
There you go.
All right. Now we're rolling. Dad's up ahead with my other trailer, and I see that tail light's out. When I had that one hooked to this truck, it told me that was the case, but I didn't believe it, so I'll have to fix that. But he's got the empty trailer. I've got the 550 on mine other trailer here behind my pickup. There you can see it in all its glory, with a fresh new spindle. And so I'm hoping there should be no problem, but between these two things we should be able to haul all this garbage home. It's basically garbage, but it's stuff that I can use for things, you know, so that's why. Well, like I said, when this is all said and done, we'll do a auction haul and I'll show you what I got. But right now we're still in the adventure phase where I hope we don't tear anything up. You know, the poor little 550, this is its first adventure again. We don't want it to break down there, you know. It's amazing that it broke at Dad's, and it's a good thing it broke there, because wasn't it just before that I took it to that other auction to get that plow that I got? And if it would have broke back there, then what would I have done? I would have had to go get another tractor to pick up the broken tractor. That would have been a mess, friends. So that's okay that happened when it did, because we don't need sadness like that. But I've got enough chains now with me, and I've got binders, and I've got all kinds of stuff, because that's part of what I bought today. And then I got another pair of those other ramps are on that trailer, plus that trailer's got that fold down end gate, which isn't much anymore, but it should hold what we're doing. But I feel like I'm prepared this time, but it seems like the stuff that I get into, it turns out that I'm never prepared, so I'm sure that we'll figure something is wrong. But we just got to get there and then hope that other people haven't thefted the stuff that I bought, you know, because some of that stuff was in a scrap pile and it was like you pick out the thing you want and then whatever. Well, you just never know. But I think I'll probably beat most of those guys back there, so it should be fine. All right, we made it back. Fun fact, this place right here is the place that bought the super cheap Super Duty brand new. This auction was right next to it. So it's home again for just a little bit. I don't know what Dad is doing, but my plan is to unload the tractor over here out of the way. I don't know yet. Let me go back there and get it drug out and figure. Just come in here for now. I don't know where he went. If he went around the block or what he did, but good grief, people. I don't want to have to pull him out because that two-wheel drive truck gets stuck very easy. Come on. Quit now. I know you haven't run in a while, but good grief. There we go. Is not playing nice. It's acting up quite a bit, and I don't know why. Tractors don't like riding on trailers. Well, the 550 doesn't like going on adventures because now it's got some kind of problem. It don't want to hardly run. It's leaking. I guess it's leaking coolant, which is, that's to be expected. That's garbage. I got one more thing to load and then we'll chain it all down and go home. All right, I think we're loaded. Now we're gonna go home and I'm gonna get loaded because I had it. That was a lot of work for not much quality stuff, but like I said, we'll definitely use it on different things. It's just, I'm very frustrated at the 550. It didn't want to run very good. Like when we drove here, it must have got trash in it from shaking on the trailer, which tractors do. And that's just frustrating when that happens, because it'll run perfect all day at home, and then when you want to use it, it doesn't play nice. But we're gonna get home, and then we will take a closer look at all of our treasures. All right, after a short stop off at the tavern, we're rolling again. So we're gonna get home, and yeah, then we'll do a look over of our treasures. But a few barley pops, that's just what we needed, because it's just hot enough outside to be miserable when you're working on stuff. So at any rate, hopefully we get home without incident. This is one of the, I don't want to say and jinx myself, but compared to the last two things I've hauled home, this is less sketchy than any of those. So we'll just have to see how it turns out. Buddy the dog, what are you doing? You been keeping an eye on it while I've been gone? I wish you could edit videos, Buddy the dog, because I have to do that for tomorrow. I am out of edited videos, so I have to get to work. Yeah, you can back it on out there, I don't care, or whatever, because it won't sit on this hill. It won't. Get your truck level so that the thing isn't up in the air so high. There you go. That'll work. Just leave her there. Or not. Whatever. That's good. I'll move it from there. Wow. We made it. I said we made it.
Yep.
You got some treasures already.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. It got a new dog house and some pet cages. I bet a chicken will fit in there.
I'm sure it would.
And a TV tower. I have to deliver that one. I know you were wanting to use it tomorrow, but
yeah,
you're gonna have to wait a couple days.
Oh, we were looking, you trying to drive things. I had a hammer on the back of here.
Oh, that's good, when I was using the side of a whatever to hit it with. And you had it the whole time.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to move now.
No, you can get by me. That's the 2-lane road. I'm pretty sure. Rhino of sadness. Sure. All right. That took longer than I expected, but I should just know by now that things don't go according to plan. The whole reason I went to that auction was for that landscape rake, and that just went ridiculous. I didn't feel it was in that great a shape, and $375, and that guy didn't seem to quit bidding either, so it could have went way more than that, you know. I want to say that on Marketplace, I've seen them for $300 in pretty nice shape. Of course, they go all the way up to $700 or $1,000, but if you're watching and not in a hurry, you can get a good deal. So, what have we got here? Well, antenna tower, I think I talked about that already. I'll take that over there. You know, that's a thing that everybody had at one time, and then we kind of did away with them when people started getting satellite and that. But now that you got that free antenna TV, Out in the country, I found that the tower is the best thing. I tried having mine mounted on the side of the house, and it did not play nice. Like if you would turn on, like when the furnace would run, it would sometimes mess with the signal. So I don't know what that was about, but the point is, it works better when it's on its own tower. And then the tower is also taller because you can put a pole in the end as high as you need. What kind of brought this on was last year, whenever, just before Grandpa died, he had to go live with Mom and Dad because he needed 24-hour watching, and I couldn't be here 24 hours a day. I had to still work. So he was used to our antenna TV and all those channels, and he was not to be, like, you couldn't deal with him. He did not want to learn new stuff. He was aggravated if he couldn't see his TV programs. So I took an antenna. I had an extra one because I learned, for whatever reason, people, maybe it's just him, but people of that generation, they love TV. Like the TV was on every day from like 7 o'clock in the morning, and it didn't shut off till 11 o'clock at night because the TV, we got to have TV. So if the antenna would mess up or something, they would freak out. Like they had to have their TV going. So I would just keep extra on hand. So I had an extra antenna. So I put it together and I took it over there and I rigged it up in his little room that he was in, and then he could have his regular style TV, but they didn't have a good place to mount it. So I put it on a long pole and just jammed it, you know, up against something and got it where I could get most of his channels. And then that was good. But then when Dad saw all the stuff you could get, he was like, hey, I think I'd like to have a permanent installation. So hence the tower. So he can do what he wants with that. We had to take it apart because it was 21 feet long, I think, when it was in one piece, and that wasn't going to fly. He didn't want it anywhere near his pickup because it's already been painted twice and we don't want to have to do it a third time. Which takes us to our next thing on this trailer, this other trailer. You're going to say, why would you want this piece of garbage? You know, it's just wooden and whatever. Well, that is an axle. And I've got that other pickup bed from the last time he wrecked it. And I have no wheels. So what I'm going to do is put the pickup bed on this, and then ta-da, magical trailer. I did that with the last one he did. I had a little trailer about like this where somebody had homemade it out of a wooden structure, and then it was just basically a tongue and axle, and the bed was junk, so I set that other pickup bed on it, instant trailer. And they are great for hauling around wood and stuff, or if you got to go in the woods, these old pickup bed trailers, you can run into trees or whatever you got to do, and if it gets hurt, oh well, doesn't hurt your feelings, you know. So when I saw that, that was a winner. $5 for this, and I feel it's worth that. $10 for the antenna tower. So I paid more for that than I paid for the trailer. And that was the name of the game today. Most of what I bought was for $2. I would say average price. There were a few things you'll see that I gave more for, but like this, I think I gave $2 for this roller. And is it ideal? Maybe not for most people, but for $2, I can use that roller in the yard or whatever. There are times I almost bought one this spring to level out some in the yard, but there, $2. So what am I up to? 10, 15, 16, $17 on that whole load. So I don't feel that's a bad deal, do you, friends? A trailer load of stuff for $17. Now this rig over here is still loaded down with stuff because he came over here faster than I anticipated, so I was going to look at it first before we left and show you, and then unload it as we go, so I didn't drag it back with me, but that's fine. We got to just start digging. Here, kraut cutter, $2, you know. Maybe you don't like sauerkraut, but I do, and our original kraut cutter is broken, so $2 wasn't a bad deal for that, I don't think. This is going to take a lot of digging, and we'll have to go through I guess prices if we have to know what I paid. I don't This old feller had more welding rods than any sale I've ever been to. So here is an entire tube of cast iron welding rods, and I need to look them up. They are German in nature, and they have a name on there and whatever, but I need to look up to see what their composition is. But hey, a tube of welding rods like that would be several $100 if you went to buy them. Likewise, these, I think I had to give $8 or $9 for these, but there are 2 tubes of nickel 55, this and this, and then this one just says 3/32. Okay, this one's also nickel 55, cast iron. So 3 tubes of that for $9. Those would be way more than that in the store. I want to say they're like $19 for a pack like this. So, you know, I just bought some cast iron rods here a while back, and that was kind of, I don't know, if you see something like that, I got to have them, because you won't use them very much, but you will use them. And what I do is I put them in like those army cans so they stay, you know, nice. This, I don't know why, just because wrenches, $15 for this flat. We've got at least 3 Craftsman. That's probably a Craftsman too, isn't it? No, Ranch Right. So that's probably Chinesium, Japanesium. That's a Proto. So there's an American made. So we got 3 Protos and whatever, but who cares? I mean, I can break them no matter what they are. There's something. So that's cool, $15 for that. There's a 3/4 drive Craftsman extension. That's good to have. This lifting sling, they couldn't get a bid on. I think it was $1, maybe $2. But I was thinking ahead about splitting that Alice Chalmers, and I thought we might need that soft, you know, soft. Some of this stuff is confusing because they would offer choice, and I would take one, and then the next time nobody would bid, so then I'd get everything else less. So this one, I want to say that I gave $8 for this rigid pipe wrench, which is good because it's slightly bigger. I have like the size on either side of it, like a smaller, the next smaller one, and the next bigger one. So I thought, hey, they had 2 of these, but another guy took the other one because I didn't get the first pick. What else? These they sold choice of, and I took these 2 first, and I want to say I gave maybe $6 a piece for those 3/4 drive breaker bars. This was the result of everything that was left on the table, $2. I got some more 3/4 drive extensions, some different chisels and stuff, and whatever. I mean, I don't know. You don't know when you're going to need it, but if you do, you ain't going to beat that price. I got, most of what I got here was chains and boomers. I know some of you call those something different, but those are boomers here. Those are boomers. These are load binders. But anyway, I got those 2, and I want to say that it was maybe $3, $4 a piece. I got lots of chains. We'll look at those in a minute. Snatch blocks, I think I gave maybe $6 a piece for those big ones, and $2 or $3 for that one. I got another one of those that I've always had, so I don't know where that is. I guess there were 3. I don't remember this one, but there it is. Oh, I do remember it. Anyway, it's easier to just scatter it out. But we got 1, 2, 3, 4 come-alongs, and then that big binder was in that bunch. And I want to say that worked out to like $6 a piece. I got that chain and this chain, and I think I gave $3 a piece for those. And you never know when you need a short end of chain to just, you know, make a loop and pick something up. So that's awesome. This was one of the higher dollar flats that I bought. I want to say that it was like $16. But look at the clevises, friends, that are now in the back of the truck again. But my point is, I don't think you can beat the price, because if you wanted them, you'd spend more than that. And in the wintertime when we move hay and we get stuck, clevises, you know. So that's most of it. We can look at some chains now. All right, there is these, that little binder, and then there's 2 ratchet straps that are on that other trailer we used holding it down. $2 for that bundle. Then I got log chains, friends. These 2 are actually 2 that were in it. So, I mean, that's pretty nice chain there. And then there should be 4 or 5 more here. These yellow hooked ones. That's another remnant. Okay. So there's 2 more. That's a bigger size. This is a bigger size. Yep. And then those 2 remnants, which I don't know, they came in a lot of something else. I did not buy them separately, but those 2 yellows, and then one of the yellows came with one of them. Maybe they were both wadded up and I didn't realize it. It was 2 pieces. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chains, $12.50 a piece. If you go to the store and buy them, they're $89 for a chain like that, and it's this size. It's not this heavier size. I know, because when we brought that 70 home that time, I had to stop and buy some more, and this is way cheaper. So we're gonna have plenty of chains now. Whenever we get our semi going, it's got places to store chains, and we're gonna have us some chains again, because they kept, understandably, they kept all of the chains that were on it. So I can't complain about my haul today. I spent over $200, but what I got, I think, is worth way more than $200 if I went to buy it. And it seems like we're always short of chains and whatever, because like I was thinking that today, I'm down to like 2 chains again, and that's baloney. I should have 4 of those shiny new chains, so there's some around here hiding on something. I'm gonna have to look and see what's holding a chain that's not supposed to be. But overall, I think I did okay. Some people probably look at this and think this is like crazy or hoarding or whatever, but I try to think ahead, you know, stuff that I know I can use in the future, or stuff that I don't have enough of. It seems like it's frustrating when I'm trying to do something and I wish I had more. So even if I'm not going to use it tomorrow, if there's a good deal to be had, I don't have a problem with throwing some stuff on the wall, you know, for the future. I'm not a big fan of these things, but there are times when it would be handy to have 1 or 2, or in this case 4. And I used to have some, and I don't know what happened to them. I guess they got totally destroyed and wore out, because they usually, stuff around here gets used for things that it wasn't intended for from the manufacturer. So that's how that goes. The little 550 though, it soldiered through, but it really let me down. When it got there, it did not want to run a lick. I mean, it's obviously riding on the trailer, must have shaken some trash loose or something, and it didn't want to run right. So I would say a carburetor cleaning is in its future, and very most immediately in its future is going to be replacing those rotten radiator hoses that have been on there since I got it, because it looks to me like she's leaking. You know, everything's wet and covered with antifreeze, and that ain't good for nobody. So we don't. Anyway, the camera's way too hot and it won't work anymore. But as I was saying, I don't live in Canada, so I think I can do away with the block heater. This tractor originally was sold in Canada, believe it or not. It made its way to Ohio somehow, and then it made its way here. But that's not original, and it's just causing grief. So if I just order a lower radiator hose for a $5.50, I think we'll put ourselves back in business there, and then probably give it a carburetor cleaning. It sat for, several months while it was broken, so I'm sure that didn't do it any favors. But it did get the job done. It powered through, and I got it loaded back up. So, but yeah, like I said, none of this is what I went there intended to do today. Like, this is all, everything here is after the fact. But it's all stuff that I think we can use, and it's going to make our life easier for future projects. So I have to say, it was a good haul. After watching what you just saw, do you feel like your IQ has dropped lower than your credit score? Well, there's no reason that both of us should be miserable, so go ahead and hit that thumbs up and leave a comment. That stuff costs you nothing, and it really helps me out. Your banker may not approve, but I know mine will. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.